and it's great to see you here. And I guess we also have some people online, which actually in this day and age, and given where engineering for professionals has gone, it's a wonder we have anyone in person actually here right now. But it makes it more comfortable to speak, as if I'm speaking, not as if, but speaking to actual people. I have a few slides. I want to tell you a little bit about the school and where we are. For those of you who have heard me speak before, yes, you'll see some things that are a little bit repetitive, but I've only got 10 slides. Mainly, I wanted to take the time this evening to answer questions that you might have. And what I really mean by that is that the people over there at that table to my left, they'll answer your questions, because they're the, Vice Dean Scheinerman, who's looking at his cell phone right now, doesn't even realize that he's actually in the hot seat. I just, that's okay. Just telling everyone how you're going to answer their questions. So anyway, let me get going a little bit with just an overview of the school. My view is that as a school of engineering, and remember, engineering for professionals is part of the Whiting School of Engineering, we have 3 core missions. And the 3 core missions are education, research, and translation. By translation, I mean having impact in what we do in society. If we're not having impact in society, if we're not building systems that are deployed, if we're not producing technologies and processes and educational impact in society, we're not engineers. We may be wonderful scientists, we might be outstanding scientists, but the thing that makes us engineers is that we work in society, with society, we change society. And to that point, I will point out that when I talk about translation, usually people think about translation as translating what we do in our research to society. It's equally important that we translate what we do in our educational mission to society. And so one of the things that we have going in the School of Engineering is the Center for Educational Outreach, runs quite a number of programs for K through 12 students, engineering innovation, and a SA-based program. And most recently, we've sort of partnered with a local Baltimore City pre-K to 8 school that's just about 1.5 miles away from campus, the Barclay School. And we are working with that school to make it a first-rate, engineering-focused pre-K to 8 school. And yes, you can teach what engineering is to kids in kindergarten and even earlier, and at their level, and plant seeds so that all those kids will, well, maybe not all of them, but at least some of them will become practicing engineers. If you want to look at the numbers, we are well over 200 faculty members in the Whiting School, tenure track, research track, teaching track. Actually, that tenure track number includes all the faculty in biomedical engineering whose primary appointment is in the School of Medicine. It does not yet include, and I really need to update the slide, all the tenure track faculty in a new department that we have that I'll talk about, whose primary appointment is in the Bloomberg School of Public Health. We have in the Engineering for Professional programs well over 500 instructors. One of the things that's really unique and important and valuable about the Engineering for Professionals program is that the vast majority of those instructors are members of the technical staff here at the Applied Physics Lab, and they bring real engineering experience, real engineering know-how to the classroom, teaching students in the EP program. Undergraduates, about 1,800. Full-time master's students, as you see, nearly 700. 2,600 plus part-time master's students, PhD students, and our research activity. Actually, this last year is probably going to be over 130 million annually in the Whiting School. I will point out that there's a difference between the MS full-time students and the MS part-time students more than just the number. The average age of the part-time students is, if memory serves, about 33. The average age of the full-time students is probably more like 23. And so there's a different population that we're actually reaching in those two programs. If you look at full-time master's admissions, and this is really typical of what we're seeing in the Engineering for Professionals program. You see the number of applicants has gone up tremendously in recent years. We've grown the cohort, but not nearly as much as the application numbers. To me, that's a manifestation of at least two things that are happening, at least two. I do think there's a growing reputation of Hopkins Engineering, brand recognition, and I think that's causing more folks to apply to our programs. But I think it also reflects the fact that there is a continuing realization, a growing realization, and I don't have to say this in the Engineering for Professionals landscape, there's a realization that truly lifelong learning, continuing education, constant enhancement of one's skills and knowledge is critical to remaining a cutting edge and advanced engineer in today's society. And so I think that's a major driver of the larger numbers of people seeking education. There's many other factors, including if you think about the value of an engineering education for socioeconomic mobility and so on. Our research funding is bucking trends, continues to rise. This, of course, does not include the research that's going on at the Applied Physics Lab that many of the instructors in the Engineering for Professionals program lead here at APL. So this is really, if you will, Homewood campus-based research. We have developed a strategic plan for the school, and as you can see, we seek to be a global leader. This is really only part of the vision and the mission statement. I have a few more, one more slide on the goals, one of which is very pertinent to this audience. But I would encourage you to go to our website where you can find the full strategic plan, our statement of not only our mission, but also our statement of values, our goals, and the strategies that we're going to use to achieve those goals. So what are our educational, research, and translational goals? Well, you see them all listed there. There's quite a bit of detail, but 2 points that I'd call your attention to, well, won't help. The second educational goal is that we want to blend our current full-time, part-time master's program into one seamless master's program for the students. So we really seek to be the place that if you want a master's degree in engineering, that you come to Hopkins, you come to the Whiting School, and whatever happens to fit your circumstance in life right now, if you want to go online, if you want to go part-time, if you want to go full-time, if you want to go residential, if you want to change from semester to semester, we'd like to be the place where you can tailor the experience, the amount of time to what fits your needs as a student. And so we really want that to be seamless, blended, without any sort of artificial differences between, you know, full-time, part-time, and all that. And the other important goal, as you see, we want to continue to increase our collaboration with the Applied Physics Lab, both in education, through our Engineering for Professionals program, and also in the way we do research together. So, a couple of major initiatives that have happened in this last year since this last town meeting. The first is we have formed a new department in the Whiting School. The department is the Department of Environmental Health and Engineering. We used to have a Department of Geography and Environmental Engineering, and the Bloomberg School used to have a Department of Environmental Health Science. And this past year we took the faculty, the programs of those two separate departments, and we kind of put them together in a single department, Environmental Health and Engineering. Cross-divisional department, sits both in the Bloomberg School of Public Health and in the Whiting School of Engineering. Very large now because of the blended nature. And the reasoning is that while some amount of environmental engineering is done purely to preserve the environment for its own sake, the vast majority of environmental engineering is really ultimately concerned with human health. Why do we want clean air? Why do we want clean water? Why do we want uncontaminated soils? Why do we care about climate and so forth? Because of human health. And so having this partnership between a school of engineering and a school of public health in a single department, I think, is positioning us to really address some of the most important problems faced by society today. This may be of somewhat less importance to graduate students, but it still is a vote of confidence in our school. The Clark Foundation this past year generously provided the school with its largest ever financial aid gift for undergraduate education, $15 million, which will help students come to the Whiting School, help them with financially. 10 students per year in steady state. We'll have 40 Clark scholars in our program who will be actually have special programming for their educational experience as well. And if you think about it, we have 1,800 undergraduates. We admit only 400 and some to the engineering school at the undergraduate level every year, so 10 per year is actually a reasonably significant number for us. And finally, this I took from the Applied Physics Lab web's page, SPUR at APL, Strategic Partnership for University Research at APL. This is a manifestation of our partnership with APL, and our SPUR is kind of an umbrella to allow for student internships, faculty exchanges, technical staff folks to come to Homewood, really to serve as an umbrella for all of the deepening partnerships between the Whiting School and the Applied Physics Lab. So, the big picture. Whiting School is changing quickly in terms of faculty numbers, students, funding, space, various partnerships. We have a lot of opportunities ahead of us. I feel the Whiting School is particularly well positioned for where things are going in engineering in the 21st century. I think there's some areas where we really can be, without question, the leading school of engineering in the country. I do think that we will have to make strategic choices about how and when and where to deploy our resources, but nonetheless, we do seek to lead. And for students in our Engineering for Professionals program, this is important because it means that we are constantly thinking about how to innovate in our course offerings, how to innovate in our programs, and how to make sure that all of what we offer is really relevant for all of you. And I think that with that, if memory serves, oh no, one, oh my goodness, I would have been like admonished. This is probably the most important thing, my last slide, all of you who are students in the Engineering for Professionals program, you are alums. You are Whiting School alums. We have 35,000 alums in the Whiting School, 17,000 of whom are from this program alone. We have alumni networking events around the country, in New York City, typically in November, Washington, D.C., coming up in March, Bay Area in May, and then every other year we have events in Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle. Why am I telling you this? Because you're all invited. You're all alums. If you, and for people online, if you are anywhere near those events, please show up, come by, eat, hear a talk. But more importantly, the food's pretty good, but more importantly, the networking opportunities. There's nothing more important, I think, that we can provide to all of you than the fact that as alums of Johns Hopkins University and the Whiting School, you can meet other alums and network with them. It's a lot easier to start a conversation, to start a relationship in research, or to start a relationship in business, or with an alum than with someone with whom you have nothing in common. And so there's nearly 36,000 people out there who share this status of alumni of this university and this school. And I think you would be well served to think of attending these events. And if you want, you can go to Go Hop Online. Download anything you've got from LinkedIn or from Facebook, or just fill it out. And it's basically like a cross between Facebook and LinkedIn for Hopkins alums in general. And so I would encourage you to take advantage of that as well. With that, I'm going to stop talking and answer any questions you have. Questions? And if you don't ask me questions, I will ask you questions. Oh, if you have a question online?
This is a question from William, who is watching online. He says, my understanding is that when the EP program was formed, it was viewed as a terminal master's program. It sounds like this is no longer the case, and there is an expectation that we can be prepared to apply to a PhD program. Is this true?
So the answer to that is I would like to see students who find the master's program valuable and interesting and who might seek a PhD afterwards to absolutely to apply for our own PhD program or any other PhD program around the country. And specifically when it comes to PhD programs, we're thinking about some innovative options that are related to EP specifically. And I guess for the moment, I'll just say stay tuned. But there may be some interesting options maybe in the next 6 months. I'm looking at Weisstein Scheinerman. So stay tuned on that. Yes?
One comment on that if you think you want to go back for a PhD.
Oh, yeah, why don't you, because they have to hear you online.
If you think you want to go back for a PhD, that would be something to talk to your advisor about because it might affect the kinds of courses you take in your 10-course master's. And with the dean saying how we're blending the master's programs, you'll have access to Homewood faculty also to help you prepare. I will say that within the last year or so, one ECE master's graduate from EP is now in a Duke PhD program, so it is possible.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tracy.
Yes, sir, over there. Yeah, just for the folks here, we need the microphone so that the folks online will hear you properly. Yeah.
So I noticed some of the classes that I've been taking are largely online, and I would assume that's changing the dynamic and the number of schools that are actually needed because the geographic barriers start going away. What are you doing to prepare the school for potential changes because of that new technology?
Good question. There's no question that the landscape of education, graduate education, undergraduate education is changing. I think it's ripe for all sorts of disruptions. That's one of the reasons we're thinking about what we might do with PhD programs. There is a question, how many schools do you really need in the country offering education? And this is a very, very long discussion. This is a very long discussion. There is a certain, notwithstanding the numbers I showed you, there's a certain limit to how big a place like Hopkins is going to be. We are quite selective in our admissions criteria. So I don't think we're ever going to be Arizona State. I don't think we aspire to be Arizona State. Said another way, we're not McDonald's, but we might be Tiffany's. And Tiffany's has more than one store. And so there's this balance of what it is we offer. One of the things we pride ourselves on is that even in the Engineering for Professionals program, I think the average class size, if memory serves, is on the order of 15 students per class. I think there's some value in these smaller classes. But then, of course, cost. How do you it costs something to run a big program across the country. So we are looking at all of those questions is the short answer. And I think that one of the innovations that I hope to be able to implement in the next 6 months on the PhD will answer part of that. And then the blending. I think we do have unique advantages in that we do have a bricks and mortar campus and we have a virtual campus. And how can we use that to best advantage? Yes? Question at the back, I guess, online.
Thanks. This is along the same lines. This is a question from Bo, who is watching online. He says, following up on that comment, will there be a part-time PhD program?
Let me just say that we are actually considering that option, yes. And let me add to that, the challenge, it's not one of those things you can just declare one day you have a part-time PhD program. So the challenge is, okay, if that's our objective, to have a part-time program that may take advantage of the courses in the EP program and so on and so forth, well, but how do you guarantee that it is truly a high-quality Hopkins PhD, research-based, thesis-based, interaction with advisor, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the challenge. Yes, sir.
Two questions for you. One is there any plan to increase the number of APL staff who participate as in the teaching role? And I ask because my experiences with them have been better than with folks that are not from APL. And second question, I'm just curious, I saw you had some like acceptance statistics. I was wondering what the acceptance rate is for the part-time program.
Okay, so let me answer the second question first, because I think it's, if I remember correctly, the number, I think we admit something like 30% of applicants. Is that about right? To the EP Master? Even that high, 60%. Okay, so about 6 in 10. Yeah, go ahead.
The GPA for the EP Master's students averages about 3.4, which is almost exactly what the average for the Homewood campus programs are. So we are selective, and our students tend to self-select for our program.
Yeah. So that's the application statistic. We work hard at getting APLers, more APLers. I think right now we have probably, what, 250? About that, who are teaching in the program, about 50%, maybe a little bit more, trying to get more. As one of the things we're considering is indeed how to incentivize more APLers to take the time to take part in teaching. Right now, the big draw is to teach in the EP program is really folks who just enjoy teaching. And they do get compensated, but if you really look at the compensation relative to the amount of time they're putting in, it's really driven by their interest in teaching. And so we're looking at mechanisms that would possibly yield more APLers to teach in the program. We're actually also looking, and this wouldn't help so much the folks who are online, but we're also looking at opportunities to make it easier for students who are here physically to attend classes at Homewood, and also to bring more Homewood faculty to maybe teach online courses in the EP program. So that's, again, part of the blending is to incentivize both sides, if you will, to take a greater active part in the program.
Hello. I just want to push back on that idea a little bit. As someone who doesn't work for APL, I find that, you know, I kind of like the bit of diversity in my professors that I've had through my last 9 semesters. I think that to avoid it becoming a bit of an APL after-school program, especially as a student coming from, you know, not from APL, it's nice to see the professors with a little bit more variety in their, you know, real-life experiences and their examples. So I would just, you know, put one vote in for not making it a, you know, 90% APL taught master's degree. I think that there is some value there. Do you have any comment on that?
So that's a fair comment. I think for me, the most important thing is, and I think we try to do this very, very systematically, especially in the Engineering for Professionals program, in the way we do things. For me, the most important thing is that it's quality programming, quality courses, quality instruction. And we do a lot of monitoring, get a lot of feedback. The chairs of the different programs are looking at that more than you might imagine. They do react to issues that might come up if we see quality not being exactly where we want it to be. So at the end of the day, I think it's, and sort of, I'm kind of sitting on both sides of the fence here, if it was your experience that your best instructors were APLers, if it was your experience that some of your more interesting instructors were non-APLers, I think the real question is, what's wrong with the other instructors for you and for you? And are we carefully, and I think we are, carefully monitoring the quality of what they're delivering?
This is another question from online. This is from Arajit, and it's a two-parter. The first part is there a student average age breakdown for different courses that EP offers? And also, would you suggest EP to only working professionals with a certain amount of years of experience?
So so first of all, the answer is, in terms of the age for different courses or different programs, I don't know that we have that sort of information. I think we have the aggregate, but we don't have the courses. Actually, would I recommend it for one or the other? That's a good question. Actually, we have been talking about the question of should we differentiate as we, let me back up a little bit. Let's assume for the moment that we are able to blend the programs in the manner in which I'm hoping we will get to. So then the question comes up, we have a program in computer science, say, just using that as an example, on the Homewood campus, that you can get a master's in computer science, and we have a master's in computer science through the EP program. And so now the question becomes, should we have a single degree, and just say it's a master's of computer science, and you can ask the same question about the others, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, okay? So should we have a single degree, and you can just acquire that degree by whatever combination of courses you want? Or might we actually have two different degrees in computer science, one that's actually geared to new grads, 21, 22 years old folks, primarily fresh out of their bachelor's, and then the other one primarily geared to working professionals. You know, one could imagine, so this is a little bit like the MBA model, where you have the executive MBA. Unless you have a certain number of years of experience in the profession, you really can't go into this other more sort of executive master's program, if you will, or I don't know what the right word would be. So you kind of have two degrees, but they're really different in the way they're taught, to whom they're taught, what assumptions are made. So that's sort of the 2-degree model versus the 1-degree model. And we're talking about that too. And we're actually considering all of these things and figuring out what makes greatest sense for us and for the program.
Thank you. And we have another question coming in online,
Okay.
if nobody else has one. This is from William. He says, are there opportunities where EP students can participate in research going on at Homewood? And if not, is that a desired to be state?
I think that the answer to that is that the opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, are the same as for any student. And the way you find those opportunities is you contact a faculty member who's doing research in an area that's of interest to you, and you basically send them an email and say, I'm a student in the program, here are what I know, here's what I'm interested in, are you taking on any students? There's no more formal mechanism than that. We're really reaching out to the faculty directly. By the way, you're welcome to get another slice of pizza while I'm talking. If that, by the way, this is for the online folks. This is the one advantage of being in person. There's actual pizza, physical pizza, not virtual pizza. We'll send you all a picture of the pizza. Yes, sir.
To expand on the research aspect, being kind of at APL full-time for the part-time program, you don't get much of a sense of the Homewood campus. Is there a almost like online database or a way to reach out to the Homewood campus faculty to learn more about their research opportunities and what they're kind of looking at?
Sure. And in fact, actually, in contrast to going the other way, for people who are not at APL, if I'm not at APL, I have limited access to the APL intranet. But our website, our faculty research, it's all go to our engineering Whiting School website, go department by department, faculty member by faculty member. You'll see their research, you'll see their CVs, you'll see everything.
Okay.
It's all there for you.
Is there a recommendation on how far into your master's you should be to research?
You know, I will say to you exactly the same thing I say to undergraduates who also ask similar questions at their level. And the answer is nobody's going to create a project for you. It's not going to be sort of like a pretend project. Speaking as a faculty member who's had many students in my labs, it's always a question of what skills have you got? What can you do that fits into my research and that you can help me? Either it's an experimental thing, or you've got modeling capabilities, or you code well, or you whatever. In some sense, what you should look at is what this faculty member is doing and be prepared to answer the question of what skill set are you bringing to help me?
Okay.
And that's going to be your most likely successful interaction.
Thank you.
What percentage of your Hopkins or your EP faculty are women?
Of the women faculty, I know that our students are 23, about a quarter of the students are women. We have all that. I didn't put that all up, but we do have all those numbers. By the way, I'll make it top line. But actually, if you're interested, I don't know if EP was included. So Hopkins actually, just to put in a plug for Hopkins, Hopkins has published its diversity statistics of the faculty across all the programs, School of Medicine, Public Health, Engineering, Arts and Science, down to the department level. If you go to the Provost's website, you will see all of that information. Snapshot from fall of 2015. Hopkins has made a commitment to update that once every 2 years. So we will be updating it fall of 2017, but not just gender diversity, ethnic diversity and so forth. We have that information about EP, so we should be able to produce that. Actually, one of the things if we're already in the topic, our undergraduates are, for engineering, are about 38% women, which is unusual for a School of Engineering. And if we have time, I'll tell you a story why it's important to have that kind of diversity in the program, as well as others as well. Any more questions online? No? Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll call this the end of our formal program, but I'm going to grab a slice of pizza, and I'm around, happy to talk. Okay? Thank you.